From high atop the battlements of Castle Curmudgeon, where Bidenomics are working so well, I've actually got 3 vagrants sleeping right here under my desk. Good thing they're midgets, I guess. Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America and all ships at sea. Welcome to the Blast Radius. So glad you could join us. Here's your Decline of Western Civilization news roundup for the 4th week of April 2024. Dateline: Banu, Wangi, Indonesia, Monday, 22 April. A Chinese idiot was boiled alive this week after venturing too close to the rim of an active volcano in the effort of procuring a cool selfie. Which is to say, the Darwin Awards exist for a very good reason, ladies and gentlemen. 31-year-old Huang Li Hong was sightseeing with her husband at the Aigen crater, famous the world over for its colorful displays known as Blue Fire, when, according to an account provided by her now former tour guide, she stumbled over her long clothing while walking backward toward the rim of the caldera and, because gravity exists and is just as reliable as human stupidity, proceeded to plunge an estimated 250 feet to a death that, as deaths go, probably wasn't all that pleasant. Personally, I'm with Tyrion Lannister on that one, pardon me. When his prospective executioner asked him how he wants to die, he said, "When I'm 80 in my own bed with a belly full of wine and a girl's mouth on my..." You know the rest of the quote. So, to recap, Ms. Li Hong, or is it Ms. Huang? The Asians need to pick one naming convention and all do it. God damn it, it's freaking confusing trying to keep every country straight. She's wearing clothing that is long enough to be tripped over. She is stepping backward toward the rim of an active volcano that she knows is not protected by a guardrail. They don't believe in guardrails in Indonesia, evidently, and I, for one, respect that. When she knew the result of going over the edge was undoubtedly going to be a gruesome, horrifying death. And I'm just gonna throw this out there. On the newer iPhones, isn't it a fairly simple matter to just insert yourself into any photograph you want? You know, I read recently that India leads the world in deaths by attempted selfie. But it seems the Chinese are doing their level best to claim the title for themselves. We will keep you posted as the race develops. Dateline: the Metaverse, Tuesday, 23 April. A recent study by the Media Research Council concluded that Facebook directly interfered in a total of 39 elections in the United States since 2008. The MRC report states that Facebook's election meddling began all the way back in 2012. It reached its towering crescendo in 2020, because of course it did, and has, according to the published report, abated somewhat in the years since. Gosh, it's almost like Zuckerberg realizes how badly he got punked and played for a fool. First, he gets talked into paying $400 million for an initiative to expand voting rights, which amounted in practice to, as we know, installing lots of unmonitored ballot drop boxes in the most heavily Democrat precincts in the 6 most hotly contested swing states in the election. Which is why it was the most secure election in history, baby! And then in October, he gets a call from the FBI. "Yeah, Mr. Zuckerberg, we just wanted to give you a heads up. The Russians are about to drop a big disinformation project, something about Hunter Biden and a laptop. They may have even gotten to the New York Post on this one. The Russians are sneaky like that. Anyway, we just wanted to let you know that you'd be doing a very great patriotic service to your country if you helped us slam the lid shut on that story, okay? But hey, don't feel bad, Mark. It happens to the best of us. Hell, would you believe I used to get emails from the son of the deposed king of Swaziland?" Dateline: London, Wednesday, 24 April. Londoners awoke Wednesday morning to the bizarre and shocking sight of bloody escaped cavalry horses marauding through the streets of the British capital. Talk about a blast from the past. That probably hasn't happened since, like, the Anglo-Saxon period. According to Breitbart News, at least 5 people were injured and numerous cars and horses damaged after the beasts, for reasons still unknown at press time, freaked the fuck out and bolted from their stables at the Hyde Park Barracks. Guys ever heard of a fence? Just asking us all. Some of the spooked horses nearly succeeded in escaping the city entirely, a wish I believe is shared by a good percentage of London's human residents as well, with the animals eventually being captured at distances ranging from 2.5 all the way to 7 miles away from where they made their escape. The army said in a statement, quote, "A number of military working horses became loose during routine exercise this morning All of the horses have now been recovered and returned to camp. A number of personnel and horses have been injured and are receiving the appropriate medical attention, end quote. Thankfully, the injured humans and equines are all expected to make a full recovery, although the bloodied white horse was arrested by the Metropolitan London Police on hate crime charges for looking too much like a St. George flag. Dateline Edinburgh, Thursday 25 April. It's not been another good week for our friend Scottish First Minister Humza Yousaf. After sustaining worldwide mockery over his hate crime law that saw 70% of public reports in the first 2 weeks be against himself, our man Humza, that tam-o'-shanter-wearing haggis-loving Scotsman that he is, has now seen his Green Party's governing coalition utterly collapse after he fired his whole cabinet because they were about to resign en masse. And who knows, when even your own best friends hate you, maybe that should tell you something about yourself. While Scotland's devolved parliament isn't due for new elections until 2026, our man Humza might get a new election whether he wants one or not, as the Scottish Conservatives have called a vote of no confidence against the government, which would presumably bring the government down if it passed, triggering early elections. Scot Conservative leader Douglas Ross announced the move in the Scottish Parliament where he called Yousaf, quote, unfit for office. He said, quote, I am launching a vote of no confidence. He is a failed First Minister. He has failed in the wrong priority interest. He is governed in the SNP's interests and not in Scotland's interest. Our man Humza replied, totally without irony, on a day when he just fired his cabinet before they could quit, that the Conservatives should be ashamed of themselves for, quote, playing political games. And hey, if the boiled-alive Chinese tourist gets a Darwin Award, then it's only fair that our man Humza gets a self-awareness participation ribbon, wouldn't you say? And yes, I'm sure it'll be fine. Dateline Washington, Friday, 26 April. In a meeting of intellectual titans that will surely live in the annals of history. No, I said annals. Vice President Kamala Harris met with Kim Kardashian this week. And for those fans keeping score at home, this is a person who became a celebrity by being the daughter of O.J. Simpson's personal lawyer who appeared in a sex tape, meeting a vice president who gained her political career by climbing a ladder made out of every penis in Sacramento. So yeah, this is actually where we are now, apparently. They met to talk about an issue that is very close to both of their hearts. No, not STD prevention. No, not cosmetic surgery. Prison reform, which seems like a bit of a strange thing to be talking about when Joe Biden's violent criminal illegal aliens are marauding across the countryside from sea to shining sea, but damn it, don't you ever accuse the California cackler of being unable to read the room. Especially when the room is full of child actors who've been hired for the occasion. The point is, Madam Vice President, may I call you Madam Vice President? It might not be the greatest time to be promoting the idea that we should invent more reasons not to put people in prison. I think all things being equal, that the temperature of the country reads something like, yes, we do want prison reform, meaning let's build a whole hell of a lot more of them and make them really damn big. Just like Kim Kardashian's plastic tits. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your Decline of Western Civilization news roundup for the week that was. May it rest in peace. And with that, I toss it over to my illustrious colleague, the one and only, your friend and mine, Mr. Caucasian Sasquatch.